Yo, what's going on, everybody? I believe we are live. Looks like it. I am literally just getting in the door currently. So not a ton of prep in terms of scan and whatnot. But before I lost the execution chart, I wanted to go over this BYND and the crazy opportunity that it was. If you go on Twitter, I wouldn't say it's, depending how you take it. It might not be the most positive place to go after a big opportunity day like today. A ton of big traders were on the same page, looking for the short opportunity on this one today. Um, I was one of them. It was on the watch list. It was the only watch going into today. When it's this big of an op that taps 9 in pre and pulls back to the mid twos, if you're not making $1 million, I feel like it's underperforming, unfortunately. Um, but it is what it is. So I will go into how I handled it. So I did have some that I carried over in after hours, and was looking to cut it if it broke over 480s. And I woke up 1 a.m. this morning, my time, because it immediately gapped over it, held it for 3-4 minutes. So I covered it and took a 1 hour loss right there. I did go back to bed. I was not looking to stay up and trade this thing. But we get the parabolic, hard crack, lower highs, and then I get back to desk right around 7 a.m., 4 a.m. my time, and I start seeing this failed follow through. So I start leaning short. It pulls back. I short the lower high. It holds up, so I size down, and then cover the rest into the pull. Um, Interested in pops. Once we get this kind of move where we get the after hours blowout and the pre-market blowout, I think it's pretty hard for it to reclaim any of these levels. What's up, Gator? Um, but yeah, I just, with the blow off action, you got it combined with the daily, it screamed that today was the top day. I recorded my screen this morning as I was prepping so I could go back and review, and I was talking to myself and planning out the day on this name. And I had started putting some on here in pre market, and I said to myself, I feel like I could put on whatever I feel comfortable with here, and outsized risk, 5R, 10R risk, and just risk off of pre market highs, and basically just like a go all in type of entry. Put the whole account on it, risk versus pre market highs, and that would be maybe a 30% haircut. But the opportunity was so good. Um, so I was saying that, and I'm like, because I don't see any risk level that's important other than pre-market highs, because, and word for word I said, if this pushes into 750, I'd still want to be short there. So I can't really cut. And what I did off the open was a bit of some FOMO trading, where I saw it pulling back and didn't want to miss it, being that I came into the day very prepared, and this being my main watch. So I shorted some, covered it, shorted it, covered it, shorted it, and then I started to build in, because we get this high a day gets set, pulls back, clears out through high a day by a few cents, and then fails to follow through here under 590s. So I leaned on it versus high a day. I added, got up to about 2R off of high a day, and then ended up getting stopped out, which is fine. Put on a small piece, stopped out again through these pre-market highs, but it didn't continue much higher. We got this prior support that became this last line of defense here in the 670s, and the chart I posted on Twitter was a strategy I learned from Greg LX21, where was a development in his trading was drawing trend lines off of high a day and low a day and looking for touches, and then even just duplicating them and, oops, didn't want that one, and then even duplicating them and looking for channels, which it tapped high a day, And you can see it tapped it, didn't hold over it, cleared out, and then failed back under it. So I had these drawn, and once it started to fail there, and then this was the ad. I think was the highest EV spot was right here at 660. Was right before that crack. So I think here and here is probably where I should be going crazy and not here, which is fine. I respected the plan and stopped out, but I should be getting up to that irresponsible size again at 660s and this hard crack lower high. And I got up to maybe 4R risk off of high a day over here. Ended up losing about 6R on the front side and then made about 14R on the back side. So it was like it wasn't like a monster. It was a great trade. But I think given the opportunity, this is your month maker type opportunity. You can see Ducks on Twitter making 7 mil. You see Jack Kellogg, I think, made a few mil. Saw David Hanlon, laptop legend, making 1 to 2 mil. And that's just the opportunity at scale that this had when it's trading billions of shares. So I do feel, Nate made a post saying if you feel you underperformed, use it as like a learning lesson, but don't compare because there's always someone who makes more. And that's 100% true. So, a few years ago, I'd kill to make $50 on a trade. So to have any sort of consistently profitability, I think should be recognized. But I think just a worthy trade to spend, maybe an hour or two reviewing over the weekend and looking at possible entry spots, possible scale spots, highest expected value spots, and comparing that to some of those good traders that did share their charts. And at least if you didn't maximize the P&L, again, plus 8R is a great trade on my part, but I think it should have been bigger, and just looking to try and maximize that going forward. So that was the main thing I wanted to cover today, and I think some people will resonate with that idea. I did flip long here briefly. I was remote and off desk, and I pulled out my laptop, pulled over. I was driving, pulled over, pulled out my laptop and see this thing panicking. I got long, halted up, and I was just like, I can't just sit here and wait for this thing. So super great entry. Would have been a monster if I was around all day, but that's all right. I also did cover my open short that kind of put a cherry on top of the day, but yesterday was the first close below 7, and then we got the gap down and follow through straight off the open, so I covered that one up as well. DVLT, I sold that one for a small gain. It's just not trending like I would have liked. So it took a few cents on that one. I think that was it. Yeah. So BYND, I compared this with a couple friends to FFAI. If you look back a couple years ago, right here, where you get this big multi-day move, fades off so hard, and then you get this gap up, shove into prior day's resistance, and there's just so much volume up overhead that it's next to impossible for it to reclaim. So if BYND does gap up, I think it's a worthy short candidate into tomorrow. You could use like this, I think probably like 480s would be that proper risk level. You get the after hours blowout, you get the fail, bounce highs, and then roll over. So I think a gap using 480s as a guide is a worthy idea. If we gap down and wash out, I'd likely look to trade that backside bounce for a pop back up into those fours. But there's just so much volume stuck overhead here that I think it's going to be pretty damn hard for this thing to come back. FFAI, I could probably pull up that intraday, I'd imagine. because it's just a ticker change, so it's probably still there. From 17 into 20. 0, 5, 17 into 0, 5. Come on. 20. Oh, damn it. Clicked the wrong thing. I need to go to a 1 minute. There we go. 1 second. 5, 2024. 2024. There we go. So you can see it had the same kind of action where if you were short and trying to fight it here off the open, which I was, I believe I did a trade review and live on this day. So you can go back and see those executions, but I was doing the exact same thing where you get that gap up, massive blowout, and I'm looking to nail it right off the open. It squeezes out right before rolling over, and now you get hard crack lower highs, and you could probably, I bet you, like look at that, that's the same setup where you get the low a day touch, pulls back, doesn't break, and then it breaks it right here. You get hard crack lower highs, and then see you later. So the exact same setup here. I was comparing this to a few friends this morning. You get a huge unwind, weak close, and then you get the gap up the next day. So it's anyone who's short overnight is emotional into this gap up. It gets that forced cover, and then that's a decent edge to react to for a nice little cherry on top for the following day. So I'd be looking for basically the same thing where you get the weak open, holds up, and it was FFA IE was a bit later in the day. This one was a bit tightened in terms of its time frame that it was playing out. But you had that weak open, collected shorts, squeezed them out. You get that failed follow through, weak close, possible gap up, and look for that rollover once it blows out shorts on the swing side. Shorted 1K, BYND made 5K. Congrats. I shorted last night. Yep. I shorted last night and I covered it right there and then was trading it around here. But yeah, congrats on the entry. Making 5K off of 780s means you made 5 points, so you covered it at 280. That's crazy. Congrats on the trade. Haven't traded since I've been back. Did you see our BNE? No, I haven't. I haven't scanned at all. Big move. Running up into prior daily resistance. It's probably a gap short tomorrow, I'd imagine. Doesn't have a history of multi-day runs. Has a history of pushing and giving the whole thing back. And now you've got bag holders recently from a few weeks ago. So probably a gap short opportunity, but I don't know why it's up. But yeah, I just haven't scanned yet, so. No rate cuts. We've got Jerome Powell in here saying no rate cuts. Beautiful. We've got insider info from Jerome Powell. That must be the real one. Oops. Let me see here. Guru coming back a little. It's just so beaten. BNF, big percent gainer. No real daily chart pattern to play off of there. me see here. I'll pull up. So as of now, I'm thinking BYND is my only watch into tomorrow. Like I say, I haven't ran a ton of scans just yet, so depending how long you guys want to stick around, if you want me to run through scans here. My main thing is I just wanted to go over and review BYND. I think that's more value add than picking stocks for tomorrow. But if you guys do want to stick around, you can let me know. But I can run scans, hang out for another 10-15 minutes. Rainy finally cracked. Yeah, all of those were, you had, where's my chart? There we go. You had donut. That was, all of these things were, it was like max hype chasing off of BYND. You had donut, you had air, you had what else? Yeah, rainy. You mentioned rainy. There was another one, FLWS, I think it was another one, but it was just like max FOMO going into today, where everyone was chasing everything and they all got smoked. So it's definitely a day to be short, and I think it was definitely a day to be irresponsibly short. And I wasn't irresponsible enough, unfortunately. It's never enough, you know? You can execute well, and the P&L is just never enough, so that's the dichotomy of trading, unfortunately. I'm just going to run through scans quick here. I didn't see a ton else this morning. I guess I was focused on BYND, so I wasn't really looking super closely, but I didn't really see much that I was focused on. But I think either way that BYND gaps tomorrow, I think should have an opportunity in it. If it gaps down, exhaust lower, I think there's that backside bounce entry. If it gaps up, squeezes everyone out that was overnight short, I think you can use that emotional pivot to short into par day's resistance, all the bag holders. Because where is VWAP from today is right up near 5. And I also try to like not beat myself up with BYND, because there is a world where like that day I was shorting the UAMI and this basket on this day, when you get the gap to gap blow off, and then if you remember that intraday, so you get the blow off, you get the clear out in pre-market, and then market opens and it's straight down. And there is a world where that does happen with BYND, where yes, I'm beating myself up a little bit, but it's not so much for this front side entry, because there is a world where this straight down, this move is a straight down plunge into these 4s and 3s. So I think more the mistake is just not getting irresponsible and sizing to the nuts over here. I think this trading is okay, but taking a 1 hour loss here, taking a 3 hour loss yesterday, taking a 6 hour loss, it starts to build, right? Where yes, the opportunity is getting better, but it's hard to separate myself. I think other people have felt the same. Separate myself from those past trades and just focus on the next one. Because the higher it goes, the more losses I take, the better the trade-off is. And losses are kind of good in that sense, that I'm not fighting it. But anyways, that's enough on that one for now. Back to saving the economy. Thanks for looking at that. Bag holders and less pump. These quantums are getting smoked. QBTS, RGTI. Look at how hard everyone was trying to short them, and then once it cracks, it just never bounces. No interest in trading quantum. I've never done well on them. DVLT is still hitting my scans. That one's looking okay. Oklo pulling back. That one's fairly clean, but again, I don't really want to trade this stuff. Yeah, I'm getting deep into these lists, so I don't think I need to touch them. Fader scan is stacked full. Another bottom bouncer catching some attention. Might be worth throwing on a list. I don't know what that volume is, but no chart pattern for me to trade, but just notable. Yeah, okay. Scans aren't super plentiful, so that's all right. Check on chat here quickly. Trump's on quantum. Yeah, so DVLT is still holding up. I'm going to keep tabs on this daily. There wasn't a huge reason to sell it, other than I would have just preferred it to be closer to its daily highs. So this could continue to build still, but I think I'd like to be buying that actual like $3 breakout rather than buying in this consolidation and trying to risk wide and predict where it's gonna go. Was the main reason for selling that. Anyway, I nothing. SLNH, meh. Open, kind of done with that one for now. Rainy did pull back. Just such a choppy front side, volume dropping off each day, not ideal at all. GSIT, recent runner, not near its highs. RBNE we touched on, that's probably a gap short into prior day's resistance. I'll have to look at why it's up, but so far that looks like it's what's up to. And then these ones here, just other percent gainers. So I'm thinking going into tomorrow, I think RBNE is probably a gap short. I don't really like trading day one, so I probably just let it be whether it works or not. But I think BYND is where I'm most comfortable and most familiar. I've got a blueprint from FFIE that I'm going to use as a guide on this. If we gap down and flush, I think we get that backside bounce now that it has closed red. Typically I like those at least 1.5 red days. So a red day tomorrow, but a gap down and flush, I would treat it more like a panic and then look to lock into a rally. And then maybe Friday comes that actual big first green day reversal. Um, um, Notable too, I believe I did some fundamental digging yesterday, just trying to understand the share structure and stuff. And I believe their authorized share count is around 500 mil, and their outstanding shares is around 400 mil. So I think they were pretty close to tapping it. So once they got a hold of shorts, it was fairly easy for it to rip because they don't have paper to dump. They've got it, but they can't use it until the authorized share count gets approved at their next shareholder meeting. So I'm not super concerned with dilution on this. It's trading such big volume that I don't think dilution really matters. So a gap down and flush, I'd treat like a panic and look to sell into rallies. And then bigger picture would look for a first green day. Whether I keep that entry versus low a day tomorrow, or if I look to lock it into a bounce and then trade that bigger picture bounce on a Friday. But that would be the plan going on to this one. If we gap up and shove into that 480s area where the bounce failed a few times, and it's pretty close to prior day's VWAP. So towards those mid sevens or mid fours, I think would be a decent short op. So ideally, I'd like it just to gap up, fade it red, and then just cleanly trade the bounce on Friday, trade a first red day today, tomorrow. But this is probably still where my eyes are going into tomorrow. So. So with that being said, I think I will just wrap it up there. Um, Appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope some of that chit chat about BYND and how I traded it was value. And I think a good name to review, especially when you see so many good traders talking about it. It was clearly an A+ op, so definitely worth reviewing on your own time as well. So take it easy, guys. Have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you in Investors Underground tomorrow. Peace.